I'm Anita Chatterjee, and this is Win the Day with James Whittaker.
You're listening to Win the Day with James Whittaker.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
Broadcasting from Los Angeles, California. Here's your host, James Whittaker.
Let's go!
Hey winners, welcome back to Win the Day. The quote for this episode comes from Dan Sullivan and says, "Always make your future bigger than your past." Anita Chatterjee is the founder and CEO of A-Game Public Relations. Through top-tier media placements, strategic partnerships, and game-changing solutions, Anita helps a wide range of clients achieve their branding and business goals and transforms them into household names. Prior to founding A-Game, Anita orchestrated successful PR campaigns for high-profile celebrities such as Lady Gaga, Katy and Rihanna. Anita has connected me with some of the most successful guests that we've actually had on the Win the Day podcast. So today I thought we'd get her on so we could learn a lot more about her story. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to build relationships that can change your life, the biggest networking mistakes and how to avoid them, what today's most successful leaders do differently, and PR secrets to supercharge your influence. Before we begin, the right bit of inspiration can completely change the trajectory of someone's life. So there's a friend or loved one out there who needs to hear this episode or could use some help to win the day. Share it with them right now. All right, let's win the day with Anita Chatterjee. Anita, great to see you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
It's an honor to be on this show. We've had so many amazing clients on it, and now I'm just excited to be sitting in the seat where they've seated and had these great conversations with you.
Exactly right. They've paved the way, and I'm so excited that you're here today so we can learn a little bit more about your story. To kick things off, take us right back. Who was the first person to believe in you?
So that would be my mentor, Anjula Ancharia. So Anjula Ancharia is Priyanka Chopra Jonas's manager. She's the woman who broke Priyanka Chopra Jonas into Hollywood. As most people know, there was a time where even when I was growing up, I didn't see anybody on screen that looked like me. Diversity in Hollywood is still a real problem, but fortunately, the head of casting and executives are now taking into consideration that they need to diversify it more. So it's a bit better, but there's still a long way to go. And Anjula basically introduced Priyanka to Hollywood. At the time, she was a huge actress in Bollywood. Nobody knew her in Hollywood, but she launched her career here. And Anjula has this uncanny ability to really see talent. And I worked with her at Desi Hits, which was her company that bridged Hollywood and Bollywood together. And I did campaigns for Lady Gaga when she went to India, and Rihanna when she went to the UK. So Anjula always saw something in me. And after Desi Hits exited, she basically, kind of told me, listen, you're so talented, you really need to do your own thing. And at first I wasn't ready. I was working with another company, and she kind of just brought it up again, saying, you really need to do your own thing. And she had a friend named Rohan who, if a lot of people know him because he was a judge on Shark Tank, and he's been tagged by the Hollywood Reporter as the Hollywood grandfather. And he's like, he's a good friend of mine. He's looking for press. And I think, you should leave the firm you're at and start working with him. And, I thought about it, and the firm I was at, they wanted to partner with me. But I'm like, what? If I want to do things my way, I need to start my own business. So she introduced me to Rohan. She was my biggest champion. And, I worked with Rohan. I built his profile. And that's how people started knowing about me, and my company started to grow.
So good. What career did you naturally gravitate towards when you were young?
So when I was young, my parents always wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer. I mean, I'm an Indian American, and, to them, that's where they see success, like fields in math and science. And so when I was growing up, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be a lawyer. Like, it's a great field, it's prestigious, like I'll do well in it. But I think it's when I was in college, I did an internship, and I was a communications major because, I love to chat. It was just something I naturally fell into. I did an internship at WGN News in Chicago. And I remember just, passing the newsroom and working in it and just getting so excited. And I'm like, this is actually what I want to go into. So I began my career in television. And, many years later, I found my way back to PR, which is what I had majored in.
Yeah. And you went on and you did your master's in public relations. Is that right?
Yes, at Georgetown.
Yeah. How do you feel now? There's a lot of talk about what is the value of a university degree in the world that we're in today. How do you feel about university for someone someone now who's leaving high school versus real world experience? Like, what would you recommend for kids?
I think for each their own. It's so funny. I was just talking to one of my founders about this and, the value, because there's so many tech leaders who are saying, no, there's no need for college. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think it depends on the individual and what you want to major in. There's a lot of self-starters, right? And, maybe for some people, they could go off and start their own companies, but not everybody is like that. I think college really helps with maturity and debate and really kind of learning about the world. So when time comes in your life and you've built yourself out as a professional, you could go back to your original passions, which is what I'm doing now. Like, I feel like in college, I was a big activist and, I was really kind of motivated in bringing my culture more into the zeitgeist. And I couldn't originally do that when I was interning or working for other companies. But now that I have my own business and I've built my brand, along with representing my clients, I also help put together the South Asian Oscar party, right? So I think college is like a big discovery time. I do absolutely think it's overpriced and, something needs to be done with that. But, I would say that it depends on the individual and I think it's absolutely worth it, but to each their own, whatever works better for you. There's some self-starters, but there's some people who could really gain from that experience. So I don't discredit university at all.
Yeah, up to the individual. I think that's a message that is not thought about enough. If the student is not ready to learn, and that was what I was like when I went to university straight out of high school, I just wasn't ready to learn, so it wasn't particularly effective for me. But then I went to do an MBA when I was 28 years old. I was very ready to learn, and as a result of that, and it was an incredibly transformative year that really set the tone for the next 11 years and counting for the career that I'm on today.
Exactly. Not everybody has the same life path, right? You can't just, for instance, like I said, when I was growing up, my parents were Indian American, and, most Indian Americans want their kids to be doctors and lawyers. So even my Indian American friends, they were going to med school or they were going to law school. And, that was just a tunnel vision. And I kind of pivoted and I'm like, no, I want to do my own thing. And I think everyone was kind of watching me and being like, okay, is this going to work out for her? Is she going to make it in media and entertainment? And, thank God I did. A lot of people were counting on me to just kind of, come back and do like a traditional job. But, it just to each their own. I really believe in that. And you need to figure out your own path and you can listen to advice. But at the end of the day, do what you are good at and, find your own way of getting there.
Is there a particular value or lesson from your parents that you still think about today?
So, there's so many different lessons and values, but they've always taught me the value of hard work. Obviously, being the daughter of immigrants, I saw them working very hard for us to live in, an upper class, predominantly white neighborhood in Illinois. I think just watching all of the effort they put in to give me whatever I needed, put that work ethic in me. And, I think to this date, work is such a big part of my life because I know that, I need to work hard to succeed and do my best. And, that ambition and drive and really just kind of, focusing on what you want and believing in yourself are all values that they instilled in me.
I love it. What did you learn from working on PR campaigns with the likes of Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, and Rihanna?
It's interesting. I guess that's a really good question. I think working with them, what I was doing with them predominantly was breaking them into markets where they weren't as known. And it's funny where everybody's a big fish in their own pond, and somebody could be huge and well known in a country or a city, and then nobody will know them when they go somewhere else. And you've got to start over again. So it's important to be humble and understand that, no matter how far you succeed in life, not everyone's going to know you. And, if you really want to excel and you really want to kind of build yourself out to be a global brand, you need to resonate with different markets and keep an open mind and understand the value of the fact that, we live in a global economy and that cross-culture collaboration is a real thing now. So I think what I've learned is the importance of that and how people could really go far in life if they understand that and take the time to really understand other countries and cultures, because it'll benefit them as a professional. I think that's what's taught me working those campaigns. For Lady Gaga, for instance, I worked with her when she was at the peak of her career. Like everybody knew her here. They were calling her Mother Monster. But then she was doing this India tour and, editors just did not want to write about her. They're like, so who is she? And, I had to really work to make sure that the press would interview her. And then Anjula, who I worked with at Desi Hits, planned out her India tour and did an excellent job with that. And, had these Bollywood stars interview her. And it became a huge success. But we really had to work to get this artist who was such a big name in the US, known in Asia. So
seems crazy, doesn't it? On the front cover of you'd think every magazine in the world, but yeah, it can be hard to get local press when you're in these international markets.
It's unbelievable. So, I say stay humble and just, know that it's good to understand different markets.
Yeah. And the decision for you to go and launch your own business, you touched on it a little bit earlier. How come you made the decision to go all in on your own rather than working for an established company that was already doing it?
Every company I've worked at, I feel like I always worked hard and they were always happy with me, but I was not always happy with the way they operated. And it got to a point where I mentioned earlier, the company who I was with wanted to make me a business partner. And, they offered me a plan of saying, hey, if you do this, we'll make you partner. And while that seemed convenient, and it was fine, there were just so many of their practices that I would never do. And like I said, if you want to do something your own way, you need to build it yourself. And it helps having mentors that champion you. And Anjula was like, you need to do this yourself. You're talented and you could do this yourself. And then you could inspire others to do it that way too. And, create a movement based on the way that you work and your values. And so I wanted to do it my way. So I founded my own business. That is what it is.
Yeah, and having Rohan Oza, the one who's the lead investor in Poppy, he was, as you mentioned, he's on Shark Tank. He structured the vitamin water deal with 50 Cent. He's a big, big deal, especially in the beverage world. Having him as the first client, but also personally recommended through a mutual friend. What was your mindset at the time and how difficult was that knowing it came through a personal introduction? So there was a bit more skin in the game rather than it being a random lead that had just come through into your inbox.
It's all about having your skin in the game, though. Networking is a huge part of all of our lives. And it's something that we all, you have to be bold. Even if you don't come from a good network, go to the right conferences where there's panels and try to talk to the people on these panels. You need to build a network. That's the best way in. If I had not known Anjula Acharya, Rohan Oza would not have worked with me because at this point, I've worked with so many companies, but I didn't have my own track record. So he took a chance in me because he knows Anjula. He knows that she's also a genius when it comes to marketing and branding, and he trusted her recommendation, which is huge. So I feel good about it. I did the right things. There's so many famous people who say you need to surround yourself with powerful people. I think Jay-Z said that, actually. I think it was him. I think he said that to Rihanna.
We'll credit it to Jay-Z.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I may be completely off, but, I think I remember I heard that once. And I'm like, if you want to excel in life, it's all about the people that you surround yourself with. And so networking was always important to me. Like I said, when I went to conferences, I would always be like, well, who are the panelists? Who are the players here? I need to try to talk to them. And of course, sometimes they talk to you, sometimes they don't, but you have to try. I think that's the fastest way up. You need to build relationships and, show these people who you are. And if they believe in you, then they can champion you.
I agree 100% that relationships are just the way to do everything. You not only have more fun along the way, but it's just so easy to get the outcomes that you want. It's just so much fun. It's just the best way to experience life. If you're going to an event, can you run us through your process of what you're doing or what you're thinking about to be able to connect with specific people there? Have you got a process for being able to approach events?
Before I attend any event, and I think a lot of people, my clients do this as well, you have to kind of know not only what the event is for and what it's about, but who's going to be there, right? Who are the confirmed guests? Who have they invited? Probably do some research on who's coming. Be sure to look them up online. So if you don't know them, you know what they look like. And I think, that's basically what everybody should be doing before they go to these events. And then when you get on site, be bold and just be ready to introduce yourself. And, if sometimes if they don't seem like they're ready to talk or they're busy, you just can't take that personally. A lot of influential people are just so busy and they have so many people coming up to them and they don't always have time for conversations, but it's nothing personally against you. But you need to think about yourself and, go to these events knowing who's there and, meet with the people you're trying to target. But even if there's people that you don't go there to meet, talk to everybody there. You just don't know who they know or what relationship they have. If the event is good enough, they should be bringing in a good crowd of people.
Don't take it personally. It's such a great lesson.
Yeah.
Are you talking about yourself when you're connecting with these panelists, or are you asking about them? Like they come off the stage or it's later in the day, you get an opportunity to connect with them. Are you asking them as many questions as you can about them and their mission, or are you introducing yourself through an opportunity that could be interesting or useful for them? Like, what is your approach with that?
So I've said this many times before, and a lot of my clients do this as well. It's not so much always about what they can do for you. If they are going to give you their time, it's also about what you can do for them. So when they're speaking on these panels, think about, well, what can I do for these, people? Who can I connect them with? And try to brainstorm that. And, when you come up, you could just, if you don't have anything to offer, then you have nothing to offer. And then you've got to go up to them and say, I'm so inspired by you. Can we have a conversation? But for young people who don't have anything to offer, you could always ask them, are you looking for an intern? I am motivated by you. The best thing when you look at these people on a panel, you have to think about is business at the end of the day. And if you're going to give them something, if they're going to give you something, you should give them something. So when you're sitting there and getting all the wisdom from them, also kind of think about, well, what can I do to help them? How can we collaborate? Because that's fair. And that honestly is what might engage them. Like I mentioned, there's so many people who come up to them. So if you can offer them something, it probably will be valuable for both of you.
And just saying yes to attend the event to begin with, right? Like so many people don't do that. They're like, oh, I feel uncomfortable going to an event by myself, or I'm not sure if there's going to be anyone there that I'll naturally gravitate toward. But inevitably, when you go to these events, you always have a good time. There's always at least one connection that you can make that could have an immeasurable impact on your life in ways that you could not even imagine, especially if you're in an environment where there's a big entrepreneurial scene. It just makes a big difference just having that initial decision to say, you know what, I know this is uncomfortable. I'm going to walk in the door anyway, even if I am by myself.
Well, people go to these events to network, so they're not expecting you to show up with an entourage. So, you should go there knowing that people know that most people there don't know each other. And I think the biggest thing is people need to realize nobody's worried about you. Nobody's thinking about you at these events. Everybody's actually thinking about themselves and who they're going to meet. So even if you are walking around alone, or if your pants are loose on you, like no one's going to notice and nobody cares. So I think sometimes we overthink it and we think that the whole world is focused on us and worries about our issues and problems, and that's never the case. Just go in there, do your own thing, and hopefully you'll make some good contacts. Yeah.
After the event, say it's a couple of days later, what are you doing to reconnect with someone that you might have had a connection with at an event, just to stay on their radar?
Normally we follow up with like an email or a text if they give you the number and just say, hey, it was great to meet you. We should catch up for coffee sometime, and see how they respond. Obviously, you never want to be a stalker, right? Like I think I've even been in a position where sometimes I've been busy and people are just very aggressive, being like, oh, can I meet you? Can I do this? Or some of my clients, they'll be on panels and they don't always like giving out their personal phone number. So they'll be like, oh, we'll give you our email address. And, the person will be like, oh, no, can I have your number? Because people don't always respond to emails. And it's like, no, don't say that to someone. So, you can't be aggressive, but, you just have to be nice and hope that you've, interested them enough to stay engaged with you.
Yeah, that hyper-aggression's the worst, isn't it? You get these text messages and emails. It's like, leave me alone. No one can fall quick enough in terms of the favorability scale than just following up way too aggressively.
Exactly. So don't be aggressive, but it's okay to be persistent and subtle and just very kind. That's important to keep in mind.
Yeah. Do you have a process or something that you try to stick to in terms of a number of catch-ups with people a month or a week just to be able to try and achieve some of the business objectives that you have?
At this point in my career, no, because, I'm fortunate where, I've been doing this for a very long time. And so I have a strong network. And, because of that, I'm regularly meeting people. But I think for people who are kind of in early stages or, just kind of starting with their business, then, goals like that are important because sometimes you get, especially if you're hands-on with your business, you get really wrapped up in that. And, biz dev is a completely different vertical. So yeah, setting those goals. I know a lot of other entrepreneurs that do it where they're like, we need to have a biz dev meeting every morning, or we need to at least network with 3 people. And I think that's very effective.
What year did you launch your business?
It was 2013.
2013.
Yes.
Since that time, is there a particularly difficult day that stands out more than the others?
Oh, that's a great question. It's so funny. I wouldn't necessarily say a difficult day. I think there's been many difficult days, right? Because you just don't know how things will go. And I'm in client services, so emergencies always happen. And I think because of that, I've learned how to handle like adversity and stress really well because I just know it's a part of life and you should learn from it. I would say that it was just the first year of my company, I wouldn't say it was the hardest day, but it was the hardest time because I knew I had to really prove myself. I had no track record. Rohan was my first client. I had to kill it on him because if I didn't, then I would have no business. I did a great job on him. People saw it. And that's when they started, wanting to work with me. And, he's a great human being. But of course, he's very successful and he has very high standards. So I think for me to be a young girl working with him, I was always so nervous. And, I think I would be overly stressed about things. And I remember there was one time where I think when I first started working with him, I had gotten him a profile piece in Fortune and it was a great article, but he had emailed me and something he wrote, it sounded like he wasn't happy, but he was happy. And so I not flipped out, but I got worried. I'm like, oh my God, is there something wrong? Why are you unhappy? And like his chief of staff called me and is like, chill out. He loves the article. You like read that wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I think the first year was just very stressful. But, in retrospect, when I look back at that, is just, you have to be very humble and try your best. And, that's the best way to move forward. I think all that additional stress didn't help. So I'd say the first year it was hard. I wouldn't say one day because I think in business, there's just so many ups and downs. But, you have to go through those bad days, to get to really build and grow and reach success, frankly.
Mm-hmm. Do you do much work on the crisis management side?
No, I mean, obviously there's always crises, right?
Your clients are too well behaved as well. You're very lucky. You've got an amazing roster of people.
Well, there have been situations where, things have happened and, there's been news that's gotten viral that, are situations that we wouldn't want our clients to be in. I mean, it's life, right? We all make mistakes. We all get trolled. But we're not a crisis management firm, but of course, we've had situations where we've had to, deal with situations and, that aren't necessarily the best ones to be with. And there's always a strategy as to, what we do to move on. And, fortunately, nothing has been so bad where it's like, obviously, if a client does something unethical, we wouldn't want to engage with them. But, it's been more of things like, someone has said something negative about the way they work or something that they've designed. And the good thing is, things aren't forever. People forget things. And there's ways to kind of have people focus on different parts of the narrative. So that's typically what we do.
We'll be back with the show shortly. I've got a quick question for you. Are you living up to your potential? It's a question that shapes your family, your business, and your overall happiness every single day. That's why I'm excited to introduce the Win the Day quiz. Head over to winthedayquiz.com right now, answer a few thought-provoking questions, and you'll instantly discover how well you're performing relative to your true potential. And here's the exciting part for our Win the Day family. As a fan of the show, you'll receive a personalized and absolutely free action plan to help you win the day every day. Now, just imagine how transformational the results will be when you consistently show up as the best version of yourself in every aspect of your life. Don't miss out. Take the Win the Day quiz now by visiting winthedayquiz.com or click the link in the show notes. All right, let's get back to the show. What are your favorite PR channels? Like, what's working well at the moment?
I think everything is just, it has to be a combination of things, right? So social media is so important. I think for me personally, even outlets like Instagram has helped me get really known and my business really known. So social media is important to keep up with, but getting into digital and print media is needed because that's credibility, right? You could talk about yourself all day on social media and random bloggers can too. But if the New York Times is telling everybody that you're the greatest or, you are shaping culture, then, people believe it because it's coming from a credible source. So I think it's a combination of things. It's social media, it's print and digital, it's speaking at conferences so people can really know you and get inspired by you, is really kind of having a plan that encompasses it all.
And how can someone manage those relationships with the media so they get more favorable attention?
Well, I think that's why you would hire people like my organization. But the truth is, before you're ready for PR, you have to build a track record. And, many people are not there yet. And so you have to work your way up to, being a good candidate for being represented by a PR firm. And so, you should focus on social media to enhance your numbers, go to these events like the conferences I'm talking about and be ready to network. A lot of times their moderators are journalists. So I think, those are a good way to build your network on your own until, you're ready to engage with a professional who, frankly has spent years building relationships with some of these media outlets. And, then that would be the best way forward for you to finally be able to share your story.
So when is someone ready? Is it when they reach a point where they're like, cool, we could benefit from more mainstream exposure, but we don't have the bandwidth or inclination to do it ourselves? That's when we get a PR agency like yourself to come in and take care of it?
Well, you always need a PR agency because journalists are just very busy. And, everyone should always try to reach out to the media, right? If they have a story idea. And a lot of times journalists respond and they take the story. But a lot of times they don't because they just get a huge volume of inquiries. And it helps if you are working with a firm that has personal relationships with these journalists because they could just get stories in front of them faster. So at some point, if you're a big organization or if you've reached celebrity status, you do need a PR agency to help you with that. The best time to get started is when you have a news peg. So if there is, a big event that you're the headliner on, or you are, launching a new product in your business, there has to be that news peg. So when a journalist talks about you, they have to kind of write about how you are currently fitting into the zeitgeist.
I think that's very interesting. What about for small businesses? Is there any big mistakes that they're making in terms of their approach or just the way they're thinking about PR?
I think it depends on the small business. I mean, hopefully everybody, they know the value of promoting yourself and, they stay consistent on social media. You don't have to be on every platform, but they should at least have one platform that they are regularly on and regularly updating. I think that's important. I think the biggest mistakes that small businesses don't make is they don't take PR seriously. They think they never have to engage with someone and they don't need it. If you have a small business, you need it the most, probably more so than, C-suite executives do, because consumers actually read the press and come into your business. Like I said, media adds a lot of credibility. And that's why for the restaurant industry, getting a PR team is huge. And for various industries, because if you read about it, you'll be like, oh, wow, it's a part of the trend. And you'll most likely come in and purchase the product. So I think the biggest mistake small businesses make is when they don't take PR seriously enough.
What about client expectations? How do you manage that? Someone who might have no idea at all about PR versus someone who might be thinking it's going to be a click their fingers and the great solution for their new business challenges.
Well, I'm always very honest. And, I tell everyone, PR is not easy. It's not something where it's like as soon as you begin, there's a bunch of huge articles and there's a press storm. It takes time. And I'm always very, transparent about that it's going to take some time to build your profile, but we'll be strategic. We will look at the feedback the press is giving us, and we'll work on reaching your objectives based on all of that. But it's just being honest and, setting expectations, like you said, letting people know how this works.
So how do you personally craft the deliverables, knowing that you don't just do sort of traditional PR, you're also doing things that you're putting great people in touch with other great people that can lead to incredible brand deals and things in the future. So how do you sort of talk about that in terms of what's possible for a new client?
Well, I think when clients come on board, their main objective is normally getting into the media. Like they want those articles. And so that's what we focus on. Like, that's kind of our key goal. But what we tell them is, it's important for us to be creative with them. And so we tell them, listen, like, we're going to work on getting you into the press, but, we're also going to think about ideas and partnerships that can help elevate your profile and help you get more articles. So, from the get-go, we tell them we're a creative firm and it's going to be about getting articles, but we're also going to brainstorm, different ways to elevate your profile to help you, get to your objective.
And how important is it? The things that you mentioned there the most important, or is it the story that you craft in the pitch that you're giving to these journalists? Like what are the journalists looking for above all else?
They are looking for something that's a good news story. So you have to think like a reporter, like what is a good headline? What would consumers read? How relevant is it? And so what we do is we take the client's objectives, figure out the messaging that they want to share, and then we craft it into a story for the journalist that would resonate with what the public is looking for. So, yeah, it's all about what we pitch to the journalists. But, obviously, there's messaging that our clients want to get out there, and we need to figure out the best way for it to resonate with the journalists we're pitching.
And with some of the clients that you've worked with, this might be a difficult question to answer. Have you seen some of the things that they've put together and you're like, this is the worst story of all time. We need to do some serious revisions to this before we even think about pitching this to someone?
We don't work with them unless we see potential. I mean, that's honestly what it is. I mean, we have people who are approaching us all the time and, we actually interview them. And that's the thing. I think sometimes people don't understand that, when we're talking to them, it's actually us interviewing them too. But, it's an honor to work with, successful people, but we also have to make sure that we could deliver. So that's why we ask them a lot of questions to be like, are they at a point where they're ready for this? And if they're ready for this, then we take them on. But if we feel like, hey, this isn't a strong enough story and there's nothing we can do with it, we just tell them, listen, we don't think we're the right partners for you. But if it's a story that could be tweaked, we would tell them up front. And if they're ready to do it, then we engage. But, we don't engage with any partners if we don't believe in them, basically. Well, I don't want to say don't believe in them, but if we don't think that there's something there and we could really build their profiles.
How can brands remain relevant in a world that's moving as fast as it is today? What are some things they need to be doing?
Well, they need to be looking at social media and reading the newspaper and keeping up with the trends and also just, listening to different demographics, right? I encourage all of our founders to, just not get stuck in the tunnel vision, talk to people that maybe you wouldn't always talk to. And a lot of our founders, they make sure they engage with consumers because that's when you learn about what people are thinking, what people are doing, and just keeping up with everything. I mean, even, with me, like I do make sure that I'm on social media and I'm looking at all the TikTok trends because that's how you learn like what is popular right now, what different markets and different age groups are doing.
And what's interesting about that is you're talking about, like, it's called social media, but a lot of people are on it just to, even if they have a business, just to consume. But you need to be out there interacting with people who could change the way you're thinking about something. It could be putting your finger on the pulse of an important issue that you need to be aware of. Some of the brands that you've worked with are massive, yet you're talking about them really having boots on the ground in a digital landscape to be able to talk to people to find out what's really going on.
All of the founders, I mean, and you've interviewed my clients. I mean, they've built empires. These are national companies that have become household names. Their founders are always still talking to consumers. Allison Ellsworth, who was here, I went to one of her events. She did a collaboration with In Beauty. It was like this, they made these lip glosses that were the lip glosses tasted like poppy flavors, which was amazing. But, they invited, Poppy also it's called the Prebiotic Party, which is fans of the brand. And, sometimes they invite them to these events, these media events. And, these girls were talking to Allison and they were talking about, oh, this is the brand that we want next. Can you make, or this is not the brand, this is the soda we want next. Can you make it? And she's engaging. It's very important for all of the founders I've worked with with to stay close to consumers. Like, it doesn't matter how high up there they are. They understand consumers are everything. And I have not worked with a high profile person yet that hasn't, seen the importance of engaging with the consumers.
Yeah, you're also crowdsourcing your innovation too, rather than having to think of everything yourself.
Exactly. It's very important. You can never just be a leader on the top and not engage with, consumers who you're building your organization for.
You've rubbed shoulders with some of the great change makers like we've spoken about already in this episode. Are there any specific character traits that you have noticed from all the people that you've worked with?
I mean, they're all incredible visionaries. And I think, I always joke that everybody has a method to their madness. Like, I think each of them have, they have philosophies that they all live by. And some of them even have like a system they've created to reach their goals. Payal Kadakia is the founder of ClassPass, and she's been my client now for so many years. And she has this goal setting method that's actually incredible. I mean, she showed me how to do it, but it's kind of just, a method she's created to help her achieve her goals. And it's worked for her. I mean, it's helped her build her unicorn company. And she actually has a book on it called Life Pass. But she has that method. And there's a lot of founders I've worked with who have methods like that they instill in their life, to help them kind of create a curriculum for them to meet their goals. And then just philosophies in general, right? Like, a lot of our founders are like, there's certain non-negotiables in our life. And I think that helps them make sure that they do what needs to get done. So yeah, all of them are kind of creating their own curriculums, to achieve their goals.
Your business is growing very quickly at the moment. You're doing such a great job. What are you looking for in the individuals that you want to bring onto your team?
In terms of the people that I'm hiring?
Yeah.
I look for, first of all, EQ is everything. I've learned that sometimes you can hire probably some of like the smartest people who are so seasoned, but if they don't have the right attitude, it's just a waste of everybody's time. You need people who are excited and inspired and ready to work hard. And, if they're ready to do that, they really can make magic happen. So people with strong EQs, good attitudes, and people who really believe in our clients. I want my team to be passionate about everyone we're working with. So, I have a conversation with them about how we're shaping culture by, sharing the stories of, these people who are changing the world. And, if I see that they really believe in that, then they're the right team member.
You mentioned Anjula earlier. Are there any other mentors that stand out in a particular lesson that they might have taught you?
Yeah, Anjula was, obviously the biggest one and still is. She's still one of my closest friends and biggest mentors. I'm trying to think. I mean, Anjula is a big one. I've learned from, even if they weren't mentors per se, I've definitely learned from a lot of different people. Rohan Oza, I, to this date, still kind of follow some of his philosophies. And, and when I hear his advice in interviews, I always take it and I give it to other people. So while he isn't an official mentor, he was a big part of my career, being my first client. And, I definitely, take all of his, philosophies and I think I've definitely executed on them, like it's niche until it's not, defy the odds. During COVID, he was encouraging everyone to lean into digital. And that's the strategy that I used with a lot of my clients during COVID as well. So while he's not an official mentor, he's someone who I've definitely listened to over the years. And, we still work together. I still represent Kavu Ventures, his firm. So, he's somebody who I've definitely kind of taken a lot of inspiration from and mentorship.
We had his partner, Brett Thomas, on the show a long time ago as well.
Yes. And Brett is amazing. Yes. They're disruptors. Yeah.
Yeah, hell of a team. Last question before the rocket round. On your best day, what's an affirmation that you would write on a flashcard that you could show yourself on your worst day?
Oh, on your best day. That's a really good one. You've come this far. It's only going to get better. Is that a good one?
Yeah, it fits in with the quote of this episode as well. It says, make sure your future is bigger than your past. So,
exactly.
Yes,
yeah.
perfect. Let's now move into the Win the Day Rocket Round. 10 questions for some quick answers. You up for this one?
Oh, yes.
Number one, what quote inspires you the most?
So it only has to be one quote, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not quoting this exactly, but it's basically what the quote says. My client, Payal Kadakia, once said that if somebody doesn't believe in her, it's their problem, not hers. And when she said that, I'm like, there's just so much truth in that statement, because at the end of the day, you know what you're capable of. And somebody might not see it in you, but you have to kind of just screw them and move on and find the person that does believe in you, because that person will champion you and be by your side. I mean, for me, Anjula Acharya was that person. She saw what, she believed in me. She saw the gift in me, and, she introduced me to Rohan Oza. So yeah, I think that quote everyone should listen to.
Yeah, so empowering. Number 2, morning coffee or evening wine?
Coffee.
Number 3, what's one bit of advice you would give your 18-year-old self?
The whole world does not care about your issues or where you've messed up. Just, focus on your goals and, don't overthink it.
Good advice. Number 4, what book do you gift the most? Or is there a book that contributed most to the mindset you have today?
Bob Iger's, I believe it's The Ride of My Life. I think that was, it was his book. But it was just so inspirational, because it talked about how he started very humbly, which, I did as well. There was one point where I was like a production assistant, and, you're running around doing crazy things, and you work your way up. And he also just kind of talked about how with Disney, they would have the most amazing moments, and simultaneously, chaos would be erupting at like a park, and just kind of just how, it's the best of time and the worst of times, but that's just life.
So good. Number 5, was there a vulnerability you once hid within that became your superpower?
So I just could not handle adversity. I was always fearful that something would go wrong, or that, oh my gosh, it's going to be such a horrible month. And what I've realized, I think, just through building a business and also just, dealing with things in life, like family members getting sick, is that adversity is a part of life. It's all about mindset. And the truth is, adversity should make you stronger. Like, don't let it break you. It should make you. And that has really helped me, I think, become a businesswoman and just grow the business to where it's at today.
I think you've just answered it there. The next question is, what's one thing you've learned about failure? Is there anything you would like to add based on what you just said?
Nothing is permanent, so failure should not define you. It doesn't define, and, for the moment, people may think a certain way, but people change their minds. And I've worked with so many clients where, yes, they've had moments that haven't been their best, but, there's a person is very complex, and it's important to lean into what you're good at and know that a comeback is a real thing. And people often forget, the mistakes that you make. So just know, failure does not define you.
Number 7, if you could sit on a park bench and have a conversation with someone, alive or dead, who would it be?
So here's the thing. I think with questions like that, people are hoping that it would be like inspirational figures in the past. But I'll just be very honest, because I'm human, and I think it would be my Aunt Lily, who passed away.
These are the ones that are my favorite, Yeah, a nice personal connection.
Exactly, because we're humans at the end of the day. And, I always say that, we don't work to live, or is that the other way around?
We don't live to work.
Exactly, right. So basically, you need, what will keep you strong when you're having a busy work day is making those phone calls to people who really love you, and knowing that you have, family or people who really support you. So
Number 8, what tool or resource best helps you run your life or your business?
I would say my team. Right? They're very supportive.
Shout out to the A-Game PR team.
Absolutely. Shout out to them. I mean, they are incredible, and they care about the mission of the organization, and, they're my strength.
Number 9, share one thing on your bucket list.
Oh, I don't believe in the bucket list. And the reason why I don't believe in the bucket list is I just think, I feel like in the past was always like, I have to do this, or I have to do this. And, you realize it's just not as big of a deal. It happens and it's over. I think you just have to be happy with the present. And, if things happen the way you want to, that's great. But if they don't work out, it's not the end of the world. There's a million great things to do. And, that's why I'm not a big fan of the bucket list.
Final question, number 10, what's one thing you do to win the day?
I always look at, the positives. While things may be hard and there's negativity in life, there's always positivity. And I think that you'll excel if you are always grateful and you kind of sit there and be like, this is what I'm grateful for. Because there's always good in life, and you need to kind of focus more on that than just all the things that aren't working out.
Well said. Well, there are a bunch of ways to connect with Anita, and we'll link to all of these in the show notes. You can follow her on Instagram at Anita Chatterbox. Great handles, by the way. This is incredible. Follow her on Twitter at Anita Chatterbox and visit her website, a-gamepr.com. Again, all that and more will be linked in the show notes. Anita, what a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
This was so much fun. Thank you, James. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Win the Day podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on what we covered today, so drop a comment on the YouTube version of this episode with your favorite takeaway, any questions you have, or what actions you'll be taking as a result of what was shared in this episode. And if you found value in the Win the Day podcast, leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You'll find a link to both of those in the show notes. It'll only take you a few seconds, and more ratings really helps other people discover the show so they can get the mindset upgrade they need, and we can bring more winners into the Win the Day movement. That's all for this episode. Get out there and win the day. Until next time, onwards and upwards, always.